Welcome back. Now, the recent outbreak of Lassa fever in some parts of the country prompted government at subnational level to take steps to ensure that there is no record of that fever in their territory. The FCT administration is not left out, as an emergency meeting was convened by the FCT minister to look at the level of preparedness of the health authorities, as well as plan on how to tackle any possible outbreak within the territory.
Over 250 cases of Lassa fever have been recorded in 19 states in the latest outbreak of the disease across the country. Kaduna, Kogi and Nasarawa states share same boundary with the Federal Capital Territory, and cases of the disease have already been recorded in these states. The spread of the disease calls for action on the part of the FCT authorities to forestall any outbreak of the disease in the nation's capital. This meeting had in attendance experts in human virology and infection prevention and control from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, the World Health Organization, University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, National Hospital, FCT chapter of the Nigeria Medical Association, Port Health Services, FCT Primary Healthcare Board, and the Department of Public Health.
We need to create more awareness, massive awareness across board in the whole area council, going to the hinterlands, in the communities where people reside. So we are going to work with the disease surveillance and notification officers, area council secretariat, that everybody will come on board so that we can make sure that we have a widespread on Lassa fever awareness creation in the communities. We are going to start sensitizing students in the schools, in marketplaces, motor parks. We will do this in collaboration with the primary health care across the 6 area council. So it will start this week.
According to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, during the 2019 outbreak, a total of 4,897 suspected cases were reported from 23 states. 3 of the affected states share border with the nation's capital, but no cases were recorded in the Federal Capital Territory. Nevertheless, the FCT is not taking chances.
Even after this is over, the same group of stakeholders should be meeting regularly to see what has been done, what needs to be done, so that we don't really have to wait for us to have any situation like the one at hand to start, discussing as to what we need to do.
In the meantime, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has activated the Federal Capital Territory Health Emergency Operations Center. The center is used to coordinate the response to the outbreak of Lassa fever.
Thank you for staying tuned. Now, next are the stories that made the headline within the week in the nation's capital.
An Abuja High Court sitting in Gwagwalada has fixed March 26th and 27th of 2020 to commence the trial of a former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Mohammed Adoke. The court had granted him bail in the sum of 50 million naira and 1 surety in like sum. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission had arraigned Mr. Adoke alongside 6 others on 42 counts charge, bordering on fraud and money laundering. The Federal Executive Council has approved the commencement of the repatriation of stolen assets from the United States. The looted assets to be repatriated from the island of Jersey, belonging to the late military dictator, General Sani Abacha, is $321 million. Others to be repatriated include that of former Minister for Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Diazani Alison Madweke, her associate Kolawole Aluko, and for Delta State Governor James Ibori, who was Governor of Delta State from 1999 to 2007, put at 6.6 million euros. The Senate held the first plenary session for 2020, and several issues were up for discussion. Primarily, the issue of insecurity across the country was the main focus during the debate. The minority leader of the Senate, Senator Enyinaya Abaribe, asked President Muhammadu Buhari to resign since he's unable to address the security situation in the country. That did not go down well with some lawmakers and led to an uproar in the Red Chamber. Consequently, the Senate resolved to summon the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mohammed Adamu, to brief and update the lawmakers on the progress made so far.
With a new breed of soldiers.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is asking all the service chiefs to resign their appointment over the state of insecurity in the country. According to members of the Nigerian Lower Legislative Chamber, the service chiefs have not been able to address the security challenges confronting the country since 2015. The call was made during a motion of urgent public importance moved by the Chief Whip of the House. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari met with service chiefs less than 24 hours after the call for their resignation by federal lawmakers. Those in attendance at the meeting include Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Also in attendance are the Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Air Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, the Inspector General of Police, the Chief of Staff to the President, Ministers of Interior and Defense, and the heads of the Department of State Service, the National Intelligence Agency, and the Defense Intelligence Agency. The issue of resignation by the service chiefs did not come up at the meeting, but it resolved to deepen collaborations between government agencies and the larger society.
One at a time.
The federal government has assured Nigerians of its readiness to strengthen surveillance at 5 international airports in the country to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. The 5 international airports are Enugu, Lagos, Rivers, Kano, and the Federal Capital Territory. The Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, also gave an update on the spread of Lassa fever in the country, which has spread to at least 23 states and over 250 infections. Meanwhile, the federal government has issued a travel advisory to Nigerians following the spread of the coronavirus in many parts of the world. Speaking to journalists after the first Federal Executive Council meeting for the year, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, urged those arriving from such countries with no visible symptoms to self-isolate themselves for 2 weeks after their arrival. The minister also heads the Interministerial Committee on Coronavirus to assess Nigeria's preparedness in case of an outbreak. The Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Lai Mohammed, is also a member of the committee. In the meantime, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission have shut down Panda supermarkets located in the Jabi and Gwarimpa areas of the Federal Capital Territory. The Director General of the Commission, Mr. Babatunde Irukera, who led officials of the Commission to the stores, explained that the seafood sold by the supermarkets were imported illegally from China and could pose a threat to the lives of Nigerians, especially with the outbreak of coronavirus in China. For the second time in 3 months, former President Goodluck Jonathan has visited the presidential villa, where he met with President Muhammadu Buhari. After the brief meeting, which was held behind closed doors, President Buhari saw former President Goodluck Jonathan off at the forecourt of the State House. Like the first time, he did not speak to newsmen. President Muhammadu Buhari is assuring citizens that his government will continue to focus on provision of a safe and secure nation with policies and programs that will bring prosperity to the masses. The president sees increased productivity as a way of creating a big and prosperous economy. He spoke when he received the 2019 National Productivity Order of Merit awardees at the State House. President Muhammadu Buhari is urging auditors at all levels of government to keep ministries, departments, and agencies on their toes through timely and accurate audit reports. The president gave the charge while opening a 3-day conference of Auditors General in Nigeria. He noted that underperformance by auditors or ineffective reports aid corruption in the country.
So that's all we've got time for on this week's episode of the program. But let's continue the conversation online through the email address and Twitter handles on your screen. I also invite you to share with us anything that is happening within your locality with us. You can view the program on youtube.com/channelsweb/videos. Let me thank you once again for your time. I'm Ibrahim Adra, and we'll see you next week.